This is a group of 9 watercolours of naval ships, all by the same artist, W.M. Thompson. And all of them are individually named and dated, with dates ranging from 1848 to 1885. And they're all painted on one sheet of paper. They're not separate portraits that have then been added to a single mount. They've all been painted on the same piece of paper, which leads to the question, what is the connection between all of these ships? Why are they all together with such a variety of dates? Well, with a lot of research, we managed to work out exactly what it's all about. Well, the connection to all of these ships is one man, Guy Octon Twist. And he became part of the Navy when he was 14 years old, and he was appointed to HMS Pilot in 1848. And she was a sloop with the East Indies Squadron. All of these ships are linked by Guy Octon Twist, and all of the dates noted underneath them are particular to when he joined the ship. There are 2 ships that we haven't been able to confirm that he was on, but I'm sure he was, and they're HMS Comus and Dauntless. But the lack of information is probably on these 2 ships is probably down to him being stationed on them in a very early part of his career, where he had a much lower rank. This is HMS Dauntless, and it's likely that Twist joined the ship in 1852. In 1854, whilst on board the ship, he was made a mate. 2 years later, in 1856, he became a lieutenant and joined HMS Peak in the East Indies and China station. Now, we don't have any information for his time on HMS Comus, but going from the picture, it would seem that he joined the ship in 1858 for a year, before joining HMS Neptune in 1859, followed by Royal Oak in 1863, with both the ships stationed in the Mediterranean. And if you look below to the left of the Royal Oak portrait, you can see the signature of W.M. Thompson, where he also notes that he's a marine artist. In 1866, he became commander of HMS Royal Alfred, and that's a ship which is not illustrated on this picture. And that's probably because it was still under construction at Portsmouth when Twist was in charge. And the construction was delayed due to wanting to make the most of the advancements in gun calibers. There was a big worry that Louis Napoleon of France, who had been strengthening his fleet, might cause trouble, and so the British fleet was desperately trying to catch up with the latest technology to improve their ships, and so it held up the launch of HMS Royal Alfred. But Twist was only on that for a year, and she was finally commissioned in 1867, and that was when he joined HMS Warrior in the Channel Squadron. But as Royal Alfred saw no service when he was on board, I mean, you can understand why it's not pictured. There's a bit of a jump from HMS Warrior in 1867 and his next ship, HMS Therapist, in 1880. In 1870, he became commander of a drill ship, HMS Eagle, at Liverpool, and is not shown, probably for the same reason as the Royal Alfred. He didn't actually see active service on it. 5 years later, he was on HMS Hibernia at Malta. That's not shown either. And he was promoted to captain at the end of 1876. Then in 1879, he was stationed in Durban and played an important behind-the-scenes part in the Anglo-Zulu War. He was the principal naval transport officer and had the task of organising the arrival of men and supplies from the numerous transport ships arriving with reinforcements. He then moved further north up the coast to Port Dunford, where he did a similar job. The date of 1880 is noted under HMS Therapist, but records show that he was actually appointed captain of the ship on the 30th of December 1879. But as this is a single day before 1880, it's understandable why the date of 1880 was used. The last picture is of Twist's final ship, HMS Belle, which I probably pronounced wrong, maybe it's Belize, which he joined in 1885. 6 years later, he was promoted to Rear Admiral and was on the retired list, and then Vice Admiral 6 years after that. So this one picture showing 9 different ships really tell the history of a naval officer, Captain Guy Octon Twist, and perhaps he had it commissioned on his retirement, or perhaps his fellow officers had it commissioned for him, illustrating all of the ships that were important in his career. As we've already mentioned, it doesn't show all of his ships, but perhaps those that are not shown were not significant. And 9 is actually quite a lot to have on one picture. So perhaps also there just wasn't enough space practically to show all of them. We know that the artist W.M. Thompson did do a few other similar images with multiple ships on the one piece of paper, but never as many as this that we have come across. He also did single portraits of ships, and seemed to have been quite a busy artist. We don't know much about him. It was believed that he was born in 1840 and died around about 1905. But he did paint quite a lot of ships. And what's also interesting about this picture is that on the near 40-year period that it covers, you can see the change in the shipbuilding of the British Navy, from wooden sloops to ironclad armoured frigates. So that's further interest from that point of view as well. But I have to say, even though it took an awful lot of work, when you finally work out what links all of these images, and you realise it's got to be down to one person who was on board all of the ships, it is incredibly satisfying and actually brings the picture to life a little bit more and makes it much more than just a nice portrait of 9 well-drawn ships by a little-known marine artist. So we're really quite pleased to have it, and thank goodness no one in its history decided that they could make more money out of cutting all of the pictures up and selling them individually, because then the history of the owner and why they were painted would have been lost. They're in a rosewood veneered frame with a gilt slip, which looks to be replaced for gilt slip. The picture, if you look at it closely, you can see there's a slight crease running from the top to the bottom of a paper around about the middle, and then a second shorter crease runs parallel to that. And going on the dates of the ships and also Twist's career, I think we can date it to round about 1890.